Welcome back, everyone, to the Michael Crichton read-along, where we are going through the books that Michael Crichton published under his own name in publication order. Now, before we jump into the book review, I want to give credit where it's due. The YouTube channel, Mike's Book Reviews, is it's pretty much for sure my favorite book-related YouTube channel. I highly recommend you check it out if you're into sci-fi, fantasy, or horror. Early last year, Mike, from Mike's Book Reviews, started the Michael Crichton reread because he had already read all of these books before. I, on the other hand, had only read one Michael Crichton book up to that point, so I unashamedly appropriated the Michael Crichton reread and I dubbed it the Michael Crichton read-along, and here we are. We've been reading one Michael Crichton book per month. Haven't always stuck to that schedule very well, but here we are on book number 17 of 18. Book number 17 is Micro. Ooh, Micro. And you might see that it's by Michael Crichton and Richard Preston. That's because, let me just read this to you. It says, at the time of Crichton's death in 2008, he was well into the writing of Micro. Richard Preston was selected to complete the novel. So he didn't actually quite finish this one before he died. But it was close enough that this guy, Richard Preston, came in and finished it up for him. So what is Micro about? I like to say that it's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but a lot more dangerous, deadly, and disgusting. A group of science grad students is invited to the research facility of an up-and-coming tech company in Hawaii. Nobody knows it at this point, including the reader, but this company has developed this technology that can basically shrink anything to really, really tiny size. So while the students are there, they see something they're not supposed to see, or they stumble upon some information that they really shouldn't know. And so some people from the company shrink them and try to kill them. But things kind of go wrong. Some people from, I'm trying to be vague here, but certain people from the company get cold feet. Other people from the company want to go through with it. And this group of students, it's 7 students and one tech guy from the company, they end up kind of like dumped in the jungle, lost in the jungle, and they're about half an inch tall. They're miles away from the facility, but they need to make their way back so they can unshrink themselves as soon as possible. Because when you're in a shrunken state, after I think it was 4 or 5 days, you start to bleed internally and 100% of people die. They call it the microbends. So they're on a time crunch. The protagonists definitely have their work cut out for them because not only do they have to battle against aggressive animals, toxic plants, dangerous weather, they're also being hunted by micro mercenaries sent by the company. So it gets pretty crazy. So first, let's talk about the pros of this book. The things that I liked. There is a ton of action. It's action-packed. The beginning, in typical Michael Crichton fashion, it's a little slow at the beginning, first 50 or 60 pages. But after that, it's basically non-stop action till the end. Very creative story, right? Getting shrunk down, getting lost in the jungle. Being shrunk down is one thing, right? We see that in like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and stuff like that. But then being lost in the jungle, there's all kinds of insanely dangerous animals in the jungle. There's spiders, ants, wasps, all kinds of stuff. Centipedes. There's a really crazy scene where they fight a centipede. And yeah, so it's just like, it's really creative. There's a lot of cool pseudoscience to it. And it's just a lot of fun. It's very fast-paced. It's very high stakes because they're all fighting for their lives. No one is safe here. There's actually a lot of death, a lot more than I expected. You might be surprised some of the characters that actually end up biting the dust in this one. The writing is smooth, mostly. I did have a couple kind of small complaints about the writing. Crichton, he's done this a lot in his other books. I don't think I've really mentioned it too much before, but he does this thing where he'll mention the character's full name. And a lot of authors will do this. Well, they'll say the full name at the beginning of a page or beginning of a section, and then from then on they just refer to them as their first name or their last name. Crichton refers to them as their full name like constantly throughout the entire book. It's like, I know this guy's last name. You don't have to tell me his first and last name every single time you talk about it. I don't know. It kind of got on my nerves. Maybe it doesn't bother other people. I just thought it was a little bit weird, I guess, like unnecessary. Some of the cons, it's very campy. It's pretty silly a lot of the time. Like, it's obviously, you know, it's sci-fi. It's not the real world. But usually Michael Crichton is really good at making things seem pretty real, pretty accurate to the real world. They seem like they could actually happen. This one is very silly. The way people behave, the way stuff just happens. It's like I don't know. It was a little too far beyond the threshold of believability, but it was still a lot of fun. I still liked it a lot. I feel like there's not a whole lot of strong characters. There are a couple, but I didn't really care for many of them, and I didn't really hate many of them. So I don't know. They were just all kind of in the middle. There is definitely one character that I think if you read this book, you will love to hate him, and he's one of the group. He's one of the grad students, and I'm trying to be vague. I don't want to like spoil anything, but he's horrible. He goes from in the beginning, he's just kind of annoying at the beginning, and then he becomes like a flat out villain. Like he's horrible. He's a bad dude. He's a liar and a coward, and just like the last kind of person that you would want to be with in a life and death situation. The villain is extremely mustache twirly. Like he's like, again, I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to tell you, because like you don't really know much until you're 100 pages in or more. But this one character, he's like a regular guy at the beginning of the story, and then he just becomes like this homicidal maniac, and he's like trying to kill like a dozen people, like just because. He's just crazy. And it doesn't really give a lot of good reasons for that, other than I guess money, which is a good reason for some people to kill. That sounds creepy if I say it's a good reason to kill. People do kill for money, is what I'm trying to say. So maybe it's not that far fetched. I just feel like it wasn't fleshed out all that well. So whatever. So overall, I know there were some cons, but I would still recommend this book to anyone who wants a fast-paced adventure story. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's very quick. It's 400 or 500 pages, over 500 pages, and I finished it pretty quickly in like 3 or 4 days. I think it went by really fast. It's really engaging, but I would definitely not recommend this to anyone who is afraid of bugs. Seriously. Like there are so many scenes, because if you think about it, they're tiny and they're in the jungle, so the main danger to them is insects, and there's a lot of detail, and it's gruesome and it's scary and it's creepy. Like the way the bugs attack and fight, and the secretions and the way they digest their food, it's disgusting and freaky. So like I have a friend who's really afraid of ants. I would definitely not recommend this book to him. So, have you read Micro? Do you want to? Let me know down in the comments and tell me what you think. The next and last book on our list, this is number 18, is Dragon Teeth. So check out that review when it comes out and let me know what you think. Toodles.